Hello, parents and students. My name is Pam Robinson. I am the college's acting principal, and I would like to welcome you to our Senior School Information Night, where you will receive a lot of information about the vast range of programs that we offer to our students. This evening also launches our Senior School course counselling and subject selection processes for 2022. This is a very exciting time for our senior students, and in particular for our Year 10 students, as they're about to commence their final 2 years of schooling. As a college, we offer a diverse senior school program, ranging from VCE, VCAL, and a number of VET certificates. A very strong senior school program with a wide variety of choices for students that will support them in their final years of secondary schooling and will also serve them as a great foundation towards their post-secondary destination, be it university, TAFE or employment. Students, subject selection needs to be guided by your interests, your passions, what motivates you to study so you can do your very best. Not just by what you want to do when you leave or think you want to do when you leave school, or what subjects you think will be easy, give you more points, or what others think you should be or do. If you don't know as yet what that will be, I encourage you to speak to your parents and the college's careers team, Fung and Jennifer, so they can guide your thinking and help you in making your selections. Your next 2 years of schooling are about application, making the right choices, committing and making an investment in your own learning so that you can make a successful transition beyond the school. I look forward to sharing in your journey and celebrating in your successes. Thank you.
Hello Year 10 students and families, and welcome to this presentation on your forthcoming and exciting transition to Year 11 studies. My name is Bill Hollingworth and I am the Senior School Director, Years 10 to 12. Before we begin our presentation on these matters, I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land and pay my respect to elders past, present and emerging. Well, what we have here are the three broad pathways that Year 10 students and their families need to be considering in getting ready for course selection to make their transition to Year 11. There's not much difference between these first two options. They are both the VCE pathway, but the VCE pathway can take a VET component as one of the elective subjects. There are many VET courses which count just as VCE subjects do. They take exams, and over a Year 11 and Year 12 they can contribute to a credit that's needed to qualify for the VCE, and they can contribute to the study scores that are needed for an ATAR for selection into university courses. One of the issues that need to be considered as families is that VET courses will often have to be taken by an external provider through TAFE off campus, and this can put some pressure on a student's management because they'll be missing classes while they're away for one day in the week or one afternoon or morning to be attending their VET course. We do have VET courses provided on campus, and we're trying to build up our menu of those, and some of those available, and they can be part of the consideration that families might discuss at home in getting ready to involve themselves in the process of selecting subjects. The VET, of course, is a compulsory component of the VCAL program. Students who opt for this VCAL program have to take VET and carry that through over the 2 years, and they get a separate certificate for that. It's not my purpose to focus on this option. Ms. Georgia Stakos, our coordinator of VCAL, later in this presentation will go into more detail about the VCAL pathway. My purpose is to provide in this short space of time as much understanding as I can of what the VCE pathway involves so that it can be appropriately selected. There tends to be an automatic choice of VCE, but in fact it's important to understand what the VCE involves, because it's true that it's not suitable for every student. Well, when we go into it a little more, we can see that these are, I guess, the broad fundamental features of the kind of experience that students have when they take on the VCE program. I think it's important to be aware of these so that there can be some understanding in family discussions about how suitable or unsuitable the VCE program might be. Of course, it is, as has already been mentioned, the direct pathway from school to university, but I want to make sure that we remain very aware in these discussions that it is not the only pathway to university. We actually exist in a wonderful education system which provides marvellous opportunities for young people to go through school and reach very positive post-school destinations. And the VCE is only one of the roads that can be travelled to those destinations. It is a good one, but it needs to be a suitable one for the student. And one of the things that it's important to keep in mind is that it is a rigorous academic program. It really is for students who not only like to study, do get results when they do study, when they put in their time and they put in their work, they get the outcomes that they are looking for. It does involve continuous school-based assessment, these things that we call SACs. That's what SACs stands for. It stands for School Assessed Coursework. And this school assessed coursework, once it reaches year 12, is scored, and those scores contribute to the final study score that the student will achieve in the subject. Over the course of year 11, a student doing 6 subjects will probably have to process something like 30 or so of these SACs, and they take different forms in the kind of assessment techniques that are involved. Being scheduled and planning and using time well to be prepared for each of those assessment points is an important self-management skill for success in the VCE program. Examinations are very important in VCE. Students need to be able to build up to and be successful with exams because in year 12, those end-of-year exams, which are externally set and assessed, carry a lot of weight in determining the student's final study score. In year 11, to prepare for that, in the VCE program, students will take mid-year exams, which relate to the whole of the first semester's work, and they will take end-of-year exams, which relate to the whole year's work. And that is a kind of rehearsal for what will happen in year 12 when the end-of-year exams come for year 12. These exams here, they will be testing the student's understanding of the whole year's work. It is a 2-year course of academic study, so if the option is for VCE, then I think it's important to be looking ahead to year 12 and selecting subjects, the subjects that are available for year 11 VCE studies, with a view to carrying them forward into year 12, because there's no doubt that success in year 12 is very much affected by the knowledge foundation that students build up by studying that subject at year 11 level. So if the choice is for the VCE pathway, then the choices of subjects becomes the centre of conversation and discussion. And the experience at year 11, this transition into year 11, is quite different in this regard compared to what students have experienced in moving into year 7, year 8, year 9 and year 10. In those earlier years, the core and compulsory requirements of the student's curriculum took up much more space in their timetable than it does in VCE. The only compulsory requirement in VCE is English or EAL. Everything else is elective, but some subjects have year 10 prerequisites, physics, chemistry, biology and maths in particular, And it's important that we do that. It's important that when students have a curiosity about those subjects and might be considering studying them and might also be looking at them in terms of future directions with regard to career and university, it's important that we have evidence, strong evidence, that the student would be able to cope with those particular studies. So on page 5 of the Senior School Student Information Booklet, which will be reposted again on Compass Newsfeed, so it can be easily accessed in preparing for Friday the 13th when we'll be making these decisions together, that information is provided there. You'll find a table on page 5 which makes it clear what students will have to have achieved in Year 10 in order to move into those subjects. But there are 5 electives to pick. There will be a lot of subjects available, and the best way to investigate those subjects is to access the Senior School Handbook, which is a different document which details all of the subjects that we are presenting for selection into the VCE program. There are other sources. If you want to go even deeper, you can also go to the VCAR website and move into the VCE study designs, which will outline the skills and knowledge that need to be studied for units 1, 2, 3 and 4 of a subject. So I think information about subjects and information about Year 10 prerequisites for selecting subjects is pretty important now in getting ready for our conversations on Friday the 13th, when we will be making what we call provisional subject choices for a course of study within the VCE program, if the choice is to follow the VCE program. So I'll just repeat that the English or EAL is compulsory and everything else is elective, but there are important prerequisites to be kept in mind for certain subjects. Now, when it comes to considering the Year 10 prerequisites for course selection, maths is a particularly important area of concern. The maths options are pretty well determined by the progress students have been making over the course of Year 9 and Year 10 with their maths. The prerequisites are very definite. Specialist maths, for example, is the most challenging maths that students can take in the VCE program over the 2 years, and it's reserved for students who really like their maths and are very good at it. And to do the specialist maths, they have to combine it with math methods. So that is a maths pathway for students who are very strong at maths and really enjoy it and are prepared to take a double maths course of study. To be eligible for that, students need to have had good results in their Year 10 Core Maths A or their Year 10 Methods, which is a kind of pre-VCE course for students of strong mathematical ability. Further mathematics is also a very strong maths VCE study which carries through to Year 12, and students who have been successful with their Year 10 Core Maths B are eligible to select that maths, which also goes on to meet a number of prerequisites for tertiary post-secondary courses of study. Students, of course, who have been in Core Maths A are also able to choose to take further maths. Some students take math methods with further maths as a double maths strand because they like their maths, but they're not particularly interested in taking on the challenge of specialist maths. We also would hope to be offering foundation maths because that offers a pathway into Year 11 VCE maths for students who have been successful in their Year 10 Core Maths C. That is not a course of maths, though, that continues into Year 12. It terminates at the end of Year 11, but it does give students an opportunity to raise their level of numeracy mathematically and to also achieve a level of maths which can sometimes be treated as a prerequisite for further courses of study in the tertiary sphere. This slide just offers a little more detail in terms of the maths pathways, the kind of combinations and options that are available to students according to whether or not they have been completing Year 10 as a Core Maths A student or a Core Maths B student or a Core Maths C student. So then, to get ready for course selection, it's important to reflect on all of those matters. Now, it's also quite challenging because whilst it is English +5, for course selection it has to be English +8. And those 8 subjects need to be in order of preference. Now, this is very important because the fact is that we cannot guarantee that all of the subjects that we are putting on offer will run, and it might be the case that your 5 preferred elective subjects cannot be provided, so we need substitutes to put in place. Now, it's very important it's a lot of work really, because it involves giving careful consideration to a lot of subjects, and it's important that the preference order is what reflects accurately what you want as a student. And it's important that the 3 subjects you select as reserve subjects are subjects which, on your knowledge of what they offer, you would be prepared to engage with, you would have a prospect of finding interesting. We do have the experience in the past of students who have put subjects down for their reserve subjects rather casually because they've been reasonably confident of getting their first preferences. So to avoid that situation, it is important to consider the 8 elective subjects in preference order before attending the course counselling interview. And that's a bit of a tough job, because to come up with 8 and in order of preference requires information, and it requires conversation, it requires quite a bit of thought. So here's what needs to be going on between now and making that first provisional selection of subjects within the VCE pathway. Descriptions in the Senior Studies Handbook really need to be looked at carefully. You need to look for Year 11 subjects that you have enjoyed in Year 10. I think it's most important that you look back, not only forward. Students will often make decisions about subject choices because of a belief of their importance to them for future career choices and courses of study at university. But success often comes from continuing with the things that you have been finding enjoyable, interesting, and that you have been successful in. So when looking at Year 11 subjects within the VCE program, I think it's important to reflect on how they relate to the Year 10 subjects that you've been studying, either in elective or core, and how the connection between those subjects would involve a kind of continuation of the successes that you've been enjoying at Year 10. So please look for that. Look for the bridges between the subjects you have been doing as electives or core in Year 10 and the subject descriptions that are available to you for Year 11. It's most important that you also, looking ahead, do discuss your career preferences and course requirements with careers counsellors. Taking advantage of our careers counsellors' expertise in terms of careers and qualifications for early entry into those careers is something that you need to be developing an information, a knowledge bank about, so that it can become part of your choice of subjects. So it's a matter of looking forward and looking back. You need to continue with your interests and your strengths, and you need to make a connection between those and where the subjects you take for VCE might lead to in terms of your career options. Of course, we don't always know what we want to do for a career, especially at your stage, but it's good to get ideas of what the options are so that that can start to, start to take some shape in your thinking. You must read the Senior School Student Information Booklet. It's most important that you have an understanding from that of the prerequisites you need for your choices and what will be the expectations of you as a student in the VCE program. Now, speaking of expectations, I think it's important to prepare yourself for some of the rigorous demands of students at their senior levels. To be successful, and being successful here means passing your units of study through the course of Year 11, and to do that you are expected to attend a minimum of 95% of your classes in each unit. The VCAR requires a minimum of 50 hours of instruction for a student to be eligible to be awarded a credit for the unit. Regardless of what work they present, they expect that attendance and participation in 50 hours of instruction. And to have that level of time, you need to attend at about 95%. Now, of course, circumstances beyond your control as a student and in families will sometimes impact on your attendance. And it is most important that you keep your coordinators and your attendance officer in the senior school fully informed of what is happening when you are unable to come to school for any day or any part of a day. There will be increased workload from what you're accustomed to at Year 10, and using the Head Start program at the end of the year and taking seriously the advice you are given by your teachers for pre-course work to be done over the Christmas break will help you with that. It will get you off to a good start. There will be nothing worse than getting off to a slow start and be behind before you even begin. There will be higher academic levels of content and skills. You need to expect that. That's what learning is about, always stretching our envelope of understanding. And you will have to meet those challenges, and you do that by working together and supporting each other and drawing on your teachers. And mid-year and end-of-year exams have already been mentioned, and this will be, I think, a new experience for you, though there will be some, you will have a chance to experience this at the end of Year 10 when you'll be doing a full range of exams in your current semester subjects. I think it's important to emphasize that the decision you're taking to take the VCE pathway is a decision for 2 years. It's a decision to enter what is a 2-year program. VCAL 2 is a 2-year program, but with VCAL there are certificates to be awarded at the end of Year 11 for successful students, and then there are more certificates to be awarded for students who are successful at Year 12 level. But for the VCE, there is one certificate to be awarded, and it requires success over the 2 years of the study. And to go on to Year 12, just as to go on to Year 11 VCE, requires certain achievements at Year 11 level. Now that is just a sensible and reasonable thing, because the Year 12 VCE studies build on the knowledge students develop in Year 11 VCE program. So it is important that over the course of Year 11 you are providing evidence that you are making the kind of progress which would make it reasonable for you to attempt the Year 12 level. So certain standards are there, and you'll be needing to meet them. And if we are going to be wanting to take the VCE option, information is very important, and I would request that you take seriously the need to look at the Senior School Student Information Booklet to get a clear understanding of the expectations and processes that apply to the VCE program. So how do you pass a VCE semester unit in Year 11 or Year 12? 95% attendance, which has already been mentioned. And the other thing that has to happen is that the SACs have to be passed. You must achieve a satisfactory result on all the school assessed coursework in a unit of study. Now that means for, say, a Unit 1 study, if there are 3 SACs, you must pass all of those to be credited with the unit. Missing 1 SAC means that the unit does not get an S, a satisfactory completion result. Now, of course, we all falter, and you may falter and miss a SAC from time to time. You may not get the result, and when that happens, a second chance is given to achieve the pass standard. but it becomes impossible for a student to manage and make the necessary progress if that has to happen repeatedly. So it's important, as I said earlier in this presentation, that when you're considering the VCE option, you need, as a student and as a family, you need to be aware of the importance of being able to manage your time so that you're prepared in time to be able to demonstrate the level of knowledge and understanding that will get you the pass standard in your SACs, and better than the pass standard. I think to be successful in the VCE, students need to be motivated not just to nearly pass, but to get the very best result that they can. This slide explains what has to be achieved over the 2 years to finally qualify to be awarded the VCE, the Victorian Certificate of Education. I don't think there's any need to dwell on this and take up time with it now. That information is there for you so that you'll have an understanding that if you take on the VCE program, what will be involved in you actually receiving the award at the end of 2023 when you will be completing Year 12. I think it's important if you are choosing the VCE pathway, which I recommend as a wonderful course of study, but I think it's important if you are choosing it to be aware of the ATAR. And that is important because the biggest reason for wanting to take the VCE course of study is because students and families want to take the most direct pathway to university entry. And it's the ATAR that opens up that entry to universities. That's what is used for offering places to students in university courses. And of course, it's most important to realise that a low ATAR doesn't meet with many offers. One needs a good ATAR to get the offers that one is looking for. Now, this slide is largely information about what that ATAR number represents and how it is arrived at. And rather than just reading that over and explaining it to you, I want to leave it with you and your families to consider and follow up with any questions that you might need to ask by coming to the senior school and seeing me or any of the Year 11 and Year 12 coordinators. I think the important message in understanding what the ATAR is and how it is calculated is that over Year 11, you need to practice being a kind of student who gets the best scores, the best results that they can on SACs and exam results, because that will prepare you for competing for that ATAR ranking in Year 12. In Year 12, every one of your assessments is locked in and contributes to the final calculation of your ATAR. And then those school-based scores are combined with your performance on the end of year exams to come up with how you are ranked against other students in the state. And if the VCE and all of the work that involves is your pathway to university, then that ATAR becomes very important. And there's no doubt that hard work and development of knowledge and skills over Year 11 sets you up to be very, very successful in Year 12 as a student competing for a good ranking, a good ATAR. That's most important, I think, to be keeping in mind, particularly as the reason for doing VCE is usually to go on to university. Well, that's it from me about the VCE pathway, and I want to close by thanking you for your attention, and I look forward to working with you throughout this process of making a successful transition to Year 11.
Senior secondary education is about developing and realising every student's potential. The Victorian Certificate of Applied Learning has provided a stepping stone to great jobs in growing industries. With Victoria's economy rapidly changing, we need to ensure that students build the skills and capabilities to thrive in further education and training and move into a rewarding career. The Department of Education is making changes to the VCAL program across the state of Victoria. The intention is for the VCE and VCAL certificates to be blended into one. VCE Vocational Specialisation Certificate is an example of the title the VCAL certificate will have. This is a working title and will change. More information about the changes to the certificate will be explained later in the presentation. What is VCAL and who is most suited to this pathway? The Victorian Certificate of Applied Learning, VCAL, is a senior secondary pathway for students who prefer a workplace learning approach. VCAL is a recognised senior secondary qualification. In some cases, VCAL can be recognised as an entry point into higher education. However, as there is no ATAR score, students are not able to apply for direct entry to most university courses through the Victorian Tertiary Admissions Centre. There are limited opportunities, though, for students who attain senior VCAL to access some university courses after completing a diploma course at TAFE. It is recommended that students seek advice, careers advice, and research their options. Students who enrol in the VCAL program are more likely to be interested in training opportunities at TAFE, completing an apprenticeship, or moving into employment after completing Year 12. The VCAL pathway allows students to combine school subjects with certificate qualifications and on-the-job training. The core strands that are taught at school are literacy skills, numeracy skills, personal development skills, work-related skills. Students also have the opportunity to study a VCE subject or a VET that's offered at Lindale Secondary College. Students complete VET 1 day a week and a work placement 1 day each week, or an SBAT, a school-based apprenticeship and traineeship, as an alternative to VET and work placement. There are 3 VCAL levels: Foundation, Intermediate and Senior. The VCAL program is designed for students to enter at their demonstrated level of ability. Students in the VCAL program will be credited with Foundation, Intermediate or Senior VCAL level of achievement, depending on their demonstrated level of ability by the end of Year 12. Students can be credited with a Foundation VCAL certificate in Year 11 or 12, or an Intermediate or Senior VCAL certificate at the completion of Year 12. Lindale Secondary College provides an opportunity for students who are considering a vocational pathway to select the VocEd program in Year 10. In this program, students develop their literacy and numeracy skills at the foundation level of VCAL. Selecting the VocEd program will better equip the students for the continuation of the program into Years 11 and 12. In Year 11, students may be enrolled in the foundation level of VCAL according to their level of ability. Students are enrolled in either Foundation or Intermediate in Year 11 as demonstrated by their level of competency. Students are enrolled in either Foundation, Intermediate or Senior in Year 12 as demonstrated again by their level of competency. Years 11 and 12 VCAL students are expected to complete one VCE study or school-based VET program. This can be chosen from the available subjects on offer at VCE. The students in the VCAL program are required to attend school 3 days a week. It's usually a Monday, Tuesday and Thursday. 1 day in the workplace for structured workplace learning, 1 day in a VET at TAFE or a VET offered in school, or a school-based apprenticeship, traineeship that replaces a VET and work placement. This is an example of how a week would be structured for students in the VCAL program. You can see that there are the strands of numeracy, literacy, PDS, WRS, as well as a VET if students are doing a VET at school or a VC subject on Mondays, Tuesdays and Thursdays. On the Wednesday and the Friday, you see that students on the Wednesday usually attend a VET at TAFE, or if they are completing a VET at school, that's when they will be completing their VET. And on Fridays, they would be at a work placement, which is usually a workplace related to the course that they are completing at VET, which pretty much complements it. Work placement provides an opportunity for students to network with potential employers and to experience the reality of working in the industry. Work placement has been factored into the school timetable for VCAL students and must be completed in the designated time. Each student is required to complete 150 to 200 hours of placement in 1 year in order to qualify for the VCAL certificate. Structured workplace learning enables students to integrate their on-the-job experience and learning in a workplace with a nationally recognised VET undertaken as part of either the VCE or the VCAL. Structured workplace learning recognition is available for students undertaking an SBAT as well. Vocational Education and Training, VET, studies allow students to gain practical skills and qualifications in a specific industry while contributing towards the completion of their senior secondary certificate. Participation in VET during senior secondary education provides students with an opportunity to make a start on training for a great job, building practical, transferable skills relevant to work and life, whether students decide to pursue further studies in university, TAFE, or a registered training organisation. VET offers students the opportunity to combine general and vocational studies, explore career options and pathways, undertake learning in the workplace, undertake applied learning in an adult learning environment, gain a nationally recognised qualification, or credit towards a qualification that contributes to satisfactory completion of the VCE, or develop skills that will equip them for the workforce. As part of the VCAL program, students must undertake a training course, whether it is a VET or an SBAT. Other than TAFE, some VET courses are offered at Lindale Secondary College. For example, kitchen operations, outdoor education. Lindale Secondary College is working on arranging more VET courses to be offered at the school soon to cater for student needs. For instance, dance, music, business, media. At the successful completion of the program, VCAL students will have a Cert 2 or Cert 3 in their desired area. An SBAT is a school-based apprenticeship or traineeship undertaken by a student enrolled in a senior secondary program of VCE or VCAL. Regular school attendance is combined with at least one timetable day per week spent on the job or in training during the normal school week. An SBAT combines part-time practical experience in the workplace with recognised structured training from a registered training organisation. SBATs must be endorsed by the school and meet the guidelines published by the Department of Education and Training. Undertaking an SBAT whilst completing a senior certificate, students may gain credit towards their VCE or VCAL certificate, get a start on their career path, earn money, get hands-on experience and gain valuable skills and knowledge in their chosen field. This slide and the next outlines the various VET courses that are available to our students. Here are a few more courses that are available at TAFE and at Lindale Secondary College. The VCAL is made up of accredited units that outline the required outcomes for each strand. Successful completion of VCAL is based on a minimum pass of 10 units. 6 units must be at the certificate level with a minimum of 1 unit from each of the VCAL strands. Assessment in VCAL units is school-based. VET and SBAT tasks are assessed and credits provided, and hours of work placement is also credited. These are the pathway options for students. Having completed VCE, students can then move on to university or TAFE or employment. Having completed VCE and a VET component, students can move on to university or TAFE or employment. Having completed a VCAL and a VET, students can move to TAFE and employment, and if they complete prerequisites, they can then move on to a university course. The destinations for most of the students that complete a VCAL certificate are either moving to an apprenticeship or a traineeship. VCAL students can finish off with a Cert 2, Cert 3 and sometimes a Cert 4, which can lead then to a diploma at TAFE, and completing a bridging course to get a diploma at TAFE after year 12 may then enable them to enter some university courses. And of course, employment is another destination, and for many students, usually they find employment through the work placements that they have been at and worked at during their course. In 2019, the Victorian Government commissioned a review into vocational and applied learning pathways in senior secondary schooling. As a result of this review, changes will be made to the VCAL and will begin to take effect from 2023. Changes as a result of the review have been that schools will be required to use the Moresby Career Diagnostic Report to develop a career action plan. Lindale Secondary College has been using this report when in course counselling with parents and students. The Victorian Government funding will provide more opportunities for students to experience high-quality work placements and industry taster programs aligned with the skills and interests. The Victorian Government is looking into providing funding for learning materials required for VET courses to remove cost as a barrier for many families and opening up previously unavailable learning possibilities. From 2023, the Victorian Government school students will have access to a greater range of VET subjects aligned to Victoria's growth sectors and local industry needs. In 2023, all senior secondary students will be enrolled in the VCE, the VCE Vocational Specialisation or the Foundation Pathway Certificate. Students who have started their intermediate VCAL will transition with credit into the VCE Vocational Specialisation in 2023. Students who have partially completed Foundation VCAL will transition with credit into the Foundation Pathway Certificate. In 2023, Year 12 students can complete senior VCAL units as part of a transition of the certificate. Students will need to meet the satisfactory requirements of the VCE Vocational Specialisation stream, which will include 2 units of Senior Literacy or VCE English. Upon completion of the satisfactory requirements, students will be awarded the VCE Vocational Specialisation. This is a one-off arrangement that will apply to students completing in 2023 only. Commencing Year 11, students in 2023 will enrol in the new curriculum units within the VCE Vocational Specialisation. Note that the Education Department is still working through these reforms and schools are being informed of the progress throughout the year. However, it is important to recognise that next year, 2022, there will be no changes to the existing certificates. This diagram indicates the enrolment options. At 2022, it remains the same. students enrolled in VCE, students enrolled in Senior VCAL, Intermediate VCAL or Foundation VCAL. In 2023, students enrolled in VCE, there is no change there. However, students who are enrolled in VCAL at Year 12, they will continue to complete their VCAL certificate. However, those students entering the VCAL pathway at Year 11, it will no longer be called VCAL. It'll be Year 11 VCE Vocational Specialisation, and they will move on to completing that certificate the following year, as it is over 2 years. Those who enter the Foundation Pathway certificate in 2023, again, will have 2 years, over 2 years to complete it. And there will be credit for completed units following from 2022 into 2023. There are some video links here on the slide that I've attached for your viewing and to help you make a more informed decision about the course and pathway that you want to take in your senior school. So good luck with that, and if you need to contact me, I have contact details on the next slide. Thank you.
Welcome to Lindale Secondary College Career Expo 2021. In previous year, our career team would host an expo event on site where we would talk to our Year 9 to 12 students about potential careers and educational opportunity. This expo has greatly assisted our students think about their future careers, choose subjects they enjoy and are good at, choose the subject that lead to the higher education courses, choose the subject that meet prerequisite requirements of university. Alternative pathways have apprenticeships and traineeships. Our career counselor available to be contact Ms. Phung Pham and Ms. Jennifer Fagarison. Can be contacted on 9795 2366. On this information page, you will find career information that give detail of university and TAFE entry requirements and pathways. University and TAFE pathway. VCE or VCAL student pathway to university. Gap years information. Gap years information in the police force. Employability and transferable skills. Useful information for students looking for jobs. International student on study visa. Information need to be contact the immigration agent. Student on temporary protection visa information. Thank you.